Welcome to the Heartland Running Podcast. Join Crystal, Andy, and Steven as they explore all things running related in the Heartland and beyond.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Heartland Running Podcast. My name is Steven.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Crystal.
And we are the easy-to-use, easy-to-own host of the Heartland Running Podcast. Welcome, everybody. Well, tonight, no special guest co-host. It's just Crystal, Andy, and I. We're doing a little catch-up episode, talk about some things we got going on. Maybe we'll even get into the stupid race Crystal has volunteered me for in 2019, but we'll get to that a little bit later. Anyways, how are things going?
It's going good.
It's great.
All right. Podcast is over. Good night, everybody.
All right. Good night, guys.
All right. Good night, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
No, we're going to talk about some upcoming races, maybe touch on some of our training, give you some gear updates because we've, everyone's aware of some of the gear we use, but a lot of shows will touch on it once and that's it. But now that we have some miles and some blood and sweat and tears on some of the stuff we have, we're going to talk about it. Also have a couple new pieces of gear to touch on. So let's talk about some upcoming races. What you got coming up, Andy?
I don't really have a lot on my calendar other than I just recently signed up for a race that is called the Eliminator, and what it is, it's an interesting race because you don't have to pay to enter it, and there's no awards, and it's essentially just a fat ass trail race. And so, if you are not familiar with that term, that is just a race that is just thrown together by some people, and a bunch of people show up, and you just do it. Now, this is a group of individuals at a pretty tight-knit group over in the Joplin area is actually putting this together. And so we are going to go ahead and ask for some donations from those who are going to enter the race. And I think that we had to have a shirt company that's going to go ahead and throw some shirts together for the event. And so, to raise a few more funds, and I believe this is going to go to a group of teens that are in need of shoes that need running shoes, and so to help them get a head start on their new running career or running pastime. And so essentially, that's what this is going to go for. And how it's going to work is, I believe it's going to be a 12-hour. Run, and what it is, it's a 5K loop back and forth on a trail, and you're kind of in charge of your own nutrition and your own fuel and whatnot. Nothing's going to be provided, and but I would expect there will be at least 100 to 150 people that are going to do it. When we've had similar events like this in the Joplin area on that trail, that's usually about how many people we get to show up. So I think it's going to be a fun time. I think there's going to be a lot of people that's going to show up and do a few loops and call it a day and head home. But I think there's going to be quite a few that's going to stay around. And I think it's just long enough that if you complete the 5K, and what it breaks down to is to do 5K every 30 minutes. And so if you cannot complete a 5K in that 30 minutes at any point during the race, then you are eliminated. Therefore, the name of the race is the Eliminator. And so if you are able to complete 5K in 30 minutes for the entire duration of the race, you should be able to get 50 to 51 miles in there, something like that. And so, once again, I have been guilted into an ultra. I don't know why this keeps happening to me. I think I'm a good person, and I feel that I do good things in life, and being in an ultra is not a good thing for me, and yet I just keep getting drug into these. So once again, I'm signed up for an ultra.
Well, Andy, I don't think you can cry about being guilted in, because I believe you guilted me into doing this one.
Yeah, by the way, I invited Steven to come with me.
And I believe it's not 30 minutes. I think you have 45 minutes. If I'm
Is
not,
it 45 minutes?
I think it's 45. So you do the 5K and you have to be back to the start finish line within the next loop will take off 45 minutes after it starts. So if you can get back in 30 minutes, you've got 15 minutes to recover and relax. You get back in 44, you have 1 minute. Yeah, you have to maintain a 15 minute mile pace to stay in it. So what they'll do is as long as you're back within that cutoff time, you're fine. And then if you do everything, I think it turns out to be 51 miles. And if there's 2 people left at the end, then the last loop is is a full-on race. So I don't know. I talked to Coach Corey. I told him I wanted to do this, and he's like, "Oh, that's cool." And I said, "Well, maybe I should just maybe marathon, no more than 50K, because we've got some other things coming up." And he's like, "Well, why don't you do the whole thing?" I'm like, "You saying that's good?" And he's like, "I don't see any reason why you can't do the whole thing." So we'll see. We'll definitely see. But that's going to be on August 5th, and it's running on the Frisco Trail, correct?
Yeah, that is correct. It's on August 5th, so that way we can make sure it's absolutely as hot as it possibly can be.
Oh, it's going to be brutal.
Fortunately, it is a shaded trail, and so that helps.
Oh, it's still going to be brutal hot, though. It's going to be terrible. That's usually around that time we get that week of like 100-degree temperatures. Sometimes that week, sometimes the week after, but that's the brutal week. So that won't be fun.
But it's 100 in the shade.
It's 100 in the shade. Yes, I know.
It might be breezy. Who knows?
Yeah, right.
100 with a gentle breeze. It's perfect.
That'll be some good training for another race, but that'll be fun. You can, Andy and I will both be out there. Don't know how far we're going, but definitely come on out and say hello. Well, maybe Andy will bring some delicious cloud meat sticks with him, which will keep you going for at least, I think those are guaranteed for 40 miles at least?
Absolutely, yeah. Unless I kick up the garlic in them, I can do that, and that might get you through 100-miler. Who knows?
Oh man, a lot of garlic and sweating. Whoo, that'll make that. Girls will come running after you with that. Yeah, isn't that right, Crystal?
Oh yeah.
All right, let's go on, Crystal. I'm gonna take the next one because I'm gonna lead the big one for you.
Okay.
All right.
I just feel like all of us are just copying each other tonight.
Kind of, yeah. Well,
because we all keep talking each other into stuff.
I know, and you're the worst. I don't know if you're the worst or I'm the worst. I'm not sure. We can debate that. But on September 9th, Crystal and I will be running the Hawk Trail 50-miler. It's a technical trail in Lawrence, Kansas. We couldn't talk Andy into this one for some reason. Something about another race he's got coming up. He's doing like a 10K or something in Chicago or something like that. So, but Chris and I will be there. I think we're going to just call this a training run. I think it's going to be more like a training walk, crawl, sludge for me. In fact, she's probably going to have to wipe my tears away.
Make note, pack extra tissues. Got it.
Yes, extra tissues. But we will be there. If you want to come up and say hello, and Crystal and I are planning on partying till, 7:30, 8 o'clock? Maybe 8:15 if it's going real good.
I'm good all the way till 8:50. Oh, wait, that's a time change, though. I think I can deal with that.
You'll be all right. But we will be at Clinton State Park. We will be at Campground 1, Lot A119. So we'll probably have the banner up and maybe have some refreshments. So stop on by and say hello. Now, Crystal, I'm going to leave our big one for you. It's not too much of a secret. I think most people know this one already. Yeah.
So on coming up in November, we have Tunnel Hill coming up, the Tunnel Hill 100. So it'll be it's your first attempt at 100, correct, Stephen?
I don't use the word attempt. I'm like a Spartan, with my shield or on it. It's either I kill it or it kills me. So
no, and I believe it. And the only reason why I say that is because this is my second attempt at the 100 distance. The last time I attempted it was back in the beginning of 2014, and went into the race with a stress fracture and had to drop out at the 50K mark. So this is going to be my first 100-mile finish.
All right, that's the words I like to hear.
So your first attempt and finish, mine full finish, but it's a race out in Vienna, Illinois, not Vienna. It's Vienna, Illinois. And it's run on a trail, but it's all, what's it called?
Gravelly, rails to trails. It's a rails to trails.
Yeah.
So it's hard.
But it's not, see, we have that in Ohio, but ours is paved.
That's not a rails to trails.
Whereas it's the crushed limestone. That's what I was trying to think of.
Paved is called a road. So anyway, something about this race, Crystal and I made a little pact the other night. This year, the Tunnel Hill 100 is a Western States qualifier. So if you finish, you get one entry lottery ticket into Western States for 2019, I believe. It's not for 20. It's 2019.
Yeah.
So we made a deal. If assuming we finish, which we will, shouldn't even talk that way. We're both going to enter the lottery, and if I get in, she has to crew me, and if she gets in, I have to crew her. And Andy, you'll come crew either or, I assume.
Oh, I guess I can bring some meat sticks or something.
Here's your damn meat stick.
Get going.
And you have a goal race that's in October, isn't it, Andy?
Yeah, that's correct. And I've talked about this before, but it's one of those things where before it was so far off that, it's really kind of tough to discuss it now. But I mean, I'm deep into training. And so, it's starting to become reality for me. But yeah, Chicago Marathon, this is a big one for me. And I'm super excited for it. And, you do a lot of races that are important to you, but this one really has a lot of meaning to me. I think it's cool because it's the 40th anniversary of the marathon, and it happens to be on my 40th birthday. And I just think that's so cool. And I'm really putting a lot of effort into getting prepared for this, so that way I can do the best I can. Because I'm so excited. Because it's the first time that I've ever done like a marathon major, or one. I've done the Go St. Louis Marathon, which that's pretty big. I think that's around 15,000 people. But to be amongst 45,000 runners, one of the largest marathons in the world. I mean, it's such a huge, big thing that, it's my first big city marathon and on an important milestone in my life. And so, I'm just really excited about it. I want to go and I want to do a good job. And this is kind of an expensive trip for me. And so, I've always found that the farther I travel to go to a race, it seems like the better that I do, because I've spent some money and I've invested some time. And so I want to do just as well as I can. So yeah, I'm super excited about it. And I mean, just kind of everything's just focused on that day, on October 8th.
I wanted to kind of touch on our upcoming races for a reason. We all have coaches now, and we have all started officially training for our major races. So I wanted to briefly touch on what we had coming up, so we can kind of get into our initial thoughts about our training. So, Crystal, let's start with you. You and I have the same coach.
We do, Coach Corey.
The Flash, or the Quickster, whatever you want to call him. Always out in his core use.
It's because I'm not sure we want to call him the Flash in his racing outfit.
That's true. So I'm going to ask you this question, Crystal. Then I want you to answer the same question, Andy. So far with your coach, what's gone as expected, and what's taken you by surprise by having a coach for this training cycle?
So I was hesitant at first to work with Corey. Actually, not just with Corey, but with a coach alone for this training cycle. I've worked with coaches in the past, but Corey's name kept coming up, and I'm really, really happy I decided to go with him. So, kind of as expected, the way the training schedule is kind of laid out is, about what I'd expect for an ultra. His communication is really good. I think kind of what's taken me by surprise is just compared to the other coaches I've worked with is just how much constant contact that there is with Corey, and his ability to make changes on the fly. And I've never really felt that really kind of personal attention and personal connection with a coach who, isn't in the same time zone as me. And that's kind of surprised me a little bit. And I've really enjoyed his workouts. I'm very, very happy.
Are you like me? Have you been giving the workouts special names? Like I have the Corey Death March and, Run from Hell. And, I've got them all in my Garmin account that, when I see a similar workout, I can just maybe tweak the times or whatever and then load them to my watch. But I have unique names for everything.
No, I'm not as creative as you are. Where I put all my energy in is the notes. Poor Corey, because he has that section for, your workout and life notes for that day. And I take full advantage of that.
Are you like Rachel from Friends, where writing them the 12-page letter, front and back?
Yeah, and I don't know how much he reads or not. Some days the response is just a smiley face.
Now, Andy, same question for you. You have a different coach. If you'd like to give us their names and even their contact information, if someone might be interested.
Okay, well, we can put the contact information in the notes. But I am coached by Nathan Sitcher, and he is in the Joplin area. And also, he almost co-coached with his girlfriend, which is Jenna Mutz. And I would love to get them on the show sometime. And I think that we've got some kind of general plans for that in the future, but I just need to talk to them about that. But they have been coaching locally here for a handful of years now, and I've seen some really good results from them. That they've taken some naturally talented runners, and they've really kind of pushed them over the edge, and they've created quite a few Boston qualifiers out of some average but talented runners in the area. And so I could see some of the good things that they were doing. I've never been coached before. And so I was a little bit nervous going into that. I had no idea what to expect. And really it's probably like most things, you get out of it what you put into it. And so I really, really felt like I was going to put my all into it. And I was really happily surprised that a few months before I was ready to start going, I'd made contact and say, hey, I'm going to be ready to go after this certain date. And then all of a sudden, in my inbox was a week's worth of workouts for me to do, and they were ready to go. And so we were going, and I did fill out a questionnaire, which like Crystal said, I was very specific on it. They wanted to know what my PRs were, and they wanted to know some very specific things, dates, and my race experience. And I was very thorough, and the questionnaire was very thorough too, and it was very interesting that they really analyzed it, and they even went back and they looked at some other race times that I've had at some local races that I didn't even put in there. They just found them online, and so they really kind of dug in and saw what I was all about, and I really appreciated that too, because I mean, when it comes to coaching, I mean, you're not going to hide anything. You're just going to lay it all out there. Your good days, your bad days, and everything else. And so I was really happy that they took that extra effort to look at what I was doing, and they found some interesting things. And some of the interesting things were that they felt like there was a big inconsistency between my shorter distances and my longer distances. That my 5 and 10K times were way too fast in comparison to like my half marathon and my marathon times. And so if you were going to take, someone who was consistent among all the distances, I should have a lot faster marathon time than what I do as compared to my shorter distances. And so they kind of discovered that I've got an endurance issue there. And so I think that they've really tailored what I'm doing right now, because the last 5 weeks we've really been base building, and I've been spending a lot of time at the track. And so I believe that what we're doing right now is we're kind of pushing and building those fast twitch muscles. We're putting myself into a position to where it's going to be hard workouts that hurt, but I'm building that base that when it comes time to endure in the late parts of the races where I traditionally start to fade, I'm going to stay strong for a lot longer. And so I believe that's what we're doing right there. And so that was one of the things that really surprised me, getting into coaching, that they were so in tune with just being able to look at my numbers, look at my stats, and be able to pull that out. And they're exactly right. And I agree with them 100% that I do have that fade that happens late in those longer races. And so we're gonna try to fix that. And so we're doing that slowly but surely, but we're 5 weeks into a 4-month training plan, and I couldn't be happier.
You know what helps that endurance, Andy?
What's that?
Ultras.
No, that just makes you hate life. I really don't like doing ultras. I'm going to say it right now. I just...
You love them. Just admit it.
But I keep signing up for them. What's wrong with me? It's like a sickness.
Well, nobody's running. I'm going, this is the best ever. I'm so happy. Enjoy it. I think it's like a 50 Shades of Grey thing. It's finishing, and you're like, ah. That's the way Daddy likes it.
All sweaty and smelling like garlic.
Exactly. All right. So now we were having actually a conversation this week because we Crystal and I at least think I think I can speak for Crystal here that we think your coaches are trying to break you, Andy. We think they're trying to push you until you say uncle. Do you agree with that assessment?
I think a little bit. I think that I'm starting to see some paces on my speed work that honestly I've never ran that fast before. It seems like week after week I keep seeing these track workouts that are just kind of pushing me to my limit, and I want to keep making sure that I'm successful at these workouts because I know they're building on themselves. And I can see the pattern that's happening is that the intervals get longer, the rest periods get shorter, and then eventually I'm going to have a peak track workout to where I'm not going to have any intervals, and it's just going to be a lot of fast stuff. And with a fast finish, and then we go back and we bump the speed up a little bit, and then we have longer intervals, and then we do that same pattern over and over again. And so I think what we're doing is we're just kind of seeing they're trying to find my top end. And as someone who is wanting to get better, I have big goals in the future, and I know that I have a lot of potential. I'm trying to do my best to keep pushing myself to where I can achieve and successfully complete these workouts. And so I want to keep doing them as long as possible before I do get to the point to where I say, I've reached my limit. This is all I can do at this point. Maybe we can give it a month, or maybe we can wait till our next training cycle, but I can't push beyond this right now because this is my limit. I don't want to get to that point. But I think that as a coach, and if I were coaching someone, then I would want to know where their limit is, because if someone's trying to get the most out of themselves, then you have to coach to that point. And until you know what that point is, then you're not going to help someone achieve the best that they can achieve. And so I think that right now, I think we're in that discovery phase to where we're trying to look and see where my top end is. And me as a person who's being coached and having good communication with their coach, then I feel like it's my responsibility to do the best I can. But whenever it comes to that point to where enough is enough, then I feel comfortable saying, this is my top end. Let's work from this point here.
Good point. Crystal, has Corey given you any say uncle stuff yet? Has he pushed you to?
No, not yet.
I think he's afraid of you, to be honest. I think you intimidate him.
No, well, part of it too, I think, is because going into when I first started him was kind of right before going into ruts. So at that point, there wasn't too much he could do because, miles were in the bank. And basically, I think I started with him 3 weeks, maybe even 2 weeks before ruts. So there wasn't too much at that point. Then coming out, was recovery from that. And then now I'm getting ready to go on a vacation where I'm going to be gone for a little over a week. And I know during that time, I'm not going to get a ton of running in. So he's really put together kind of a plan just to maintain the fitness that I have. And then we'll ramp up from there. So I don't think he's had the chance yet to really punish me. So I know it's coming.
Well, I noticed like after ruts, and, it makes logical sense is, we had our few days off there. And it's almost, I guess it would be a reset of the training cycle. But yeah, like the next week, I think I had like an 18-mile week and then a 22-mile week. And I think last week was like 25. And it's like, okay, this really isn't a whole lot of running. I think
I'm starting to get squirrely.
I know. I think you even contacted me and said, he's only got me for 6 miles on Saturday. I need to run.
Yeah, I did. I had like this crazy week and stuff. I'm like, I need to get like energy out so I don't kill somebody.
Yeah, I had the same issue. I wanted to run, but I know it's for the best. I will say, I think he did punish me for a while. To the point, I don't want to say I ever had to say uncle. I just had to kind of tell him, he's a younger guy. And I kind of say, I'm 45 and didn't take real good care of myself for 40 of those years. I can do speed work. That's fine. I can't do back to back to back speed work. I got to have a little recovery in there. And he's like, okay, got it. And now we're pretty evened out. Now, next question for both of you. Do you wish your coaches were more relaxed as far as their communication or attitude with you? Or do you think they should be more tough on you at times, like telling you to suck it up, buttercup, and that type of stuff?
Well, I've been really happy with the communication that we've had. My coaches are very serious. They really are. I mean, they are there to be my coach, and there's a time to have fun, conversation, friendly stuff like that, and then there's time that whenever we're talking about running, then it's serious time, and they're gonna break down what I've done. Like my last long run, I did 16 last Sunday, and it did not go well for me. I did a poor job hydrating. It was hot outside, and I did a poor job pacing. And it wasn't probably 15 minutes after my run, it's up on Strava, I get a text from my coach. and they're saying, if you would have run that first 10 miles 30 seconds slower, you would have had a better day. And so, they Strava stalk, and that's fine. I mean, it's all out there, but yeah, they're really serious when it comes to being critical, and that's fine. And sometimes that's a tough thing. That's a tough thing for me to take, because part of me wants to go, oh, now wait a minute, I had this happen, had this happen, but it that all boils down to excuses, and I don't want to be the person who is giving excuses that hey, I did this wrong, or just admitting that, yes, I did this wrong. I did not perform as well as I should have, and I'll try to do better next time. So yeah, that I appreciate them being tough, and but I also do get a lot of positive reinforcement too. I do randomly throughout the week, I'll get a text saying, hey, you did a good job on that workout, and it's just left at that. And maybe there's some workouts that I didn't feel like I did all that good, but I'll just get a message saying, it's hot outside, you did a good job. And so, that's good. I get a lot of positive reinforcement, but I also do get a lot of constructive criticism. And I want that. I don't want someone to be too soft on me. I don't want someone to be, hard at me, on me and yell at me, and I never get anything positive out of it. But still, in the same sense, I want someone to be truthful to me, and I want them to, help to push me to be the best I can, because I'm not paying them to just barely get me a PR. I'm paying them to, let me have a really good day at my goal race.
Okay. Crystal, same question.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Corey could be any more relaxed when things show up on your schedule, like 5 super chill miles.
Yeah.
And then I have workouts.
Are you serious? It says super chill miles.
Oh yeah, I'm not kidding. My workout on Friday, and you can even check. I have 5 super chill miles scheduled for Friday.
Yep.
That's awesome.
And then I have other recovery workouts that involve beer. His feedback and stuff have emojis and stuff in it. So yeah, so I don't think I could possibly have a more relaxed coach, which I think is great. But so his style's relaxed, but he is in frequent contact, and I've had other coaches that are a little more relaxed where you don't hear a thing from them. So he's relaxed in kind of a fun, good way. I suppose there might be times that he could be more tough on me, but I think I'm also pretty honest and open in my notes. And so he'll adjust things, and he'll say, like, if I think I'm not recovered from something, he's like, okay, we'll go in, start adjusting things. But again, as it goes on and more we get into this training cycle, all this may change. So,
and it should be noted that Corey probably doesn't know this, but Crystal and I are like brother and sister, seeing if dad's being fair. She'll be like, what do he give you for tomorrow? And I'm like, oh, he gave me 5 super relaxed miles. What? He only gave me 3. What's going on?
And we call him Dad. It'll be, what did Dad give you?
Yeah, what Dad give you? But I think that's kind of the difference between training for a PR road marathon race and just training for a long ass log 100-miler that most of your miles are going to be relaxed and long, where for that road marathon, it's, get it done.
Yeah, it's totally different tasks. And so, I can, that's why I'm not surprised whenever you get super chill miles as compared to, 1200s at 7:10 pace with 400 recovery times 6, that's not something that's ultra specific.
No, it's interesting you mentioned pace, because it's something else I wanted to get into, and this is just, there's probably no right or wrong. Well, there is no right or wrong. It's personal preference. Those are the workouts I hate the most, and thankfully it hasn't really given me too many where they have a certain pace on them. Mm-hmm. Almost all my workouts, if it's a speed workout, are, whatever it is, 5 minutes hard, 2 minutes recover, 3 minutes, something like that. Which I much prefer that over run this pace for this long, because for me, it's like, well, depending on what the weather's like, the temperature, how early I got to bed last night, a 7-minute mile pace might be pretty doable and easy. I don't want to say easy, but doable, or it might be impossible depending on a bunch of different things.
Well, I think that's one of those things that if someone's listening to this and you're considering a coach, or maybe you have a coach and you might be thinking about a change, that's something that's really important that you need to consider is what is it that you feel is important for you as a person? Because if you're going to be out there doing something like, ultras or really long distances like that, where pace, is important, but specific paces for specific workouts is not going to be something that's very critical, then, that's not going to be important to you. But for me, one of the things that whenever I was pulling my generic plans off the internet, your Hal Higdon's, which are great plans if you're just getting started, whenever I was pulling those plans off, they don't give you paces that's specific to you in general. And so if that's something that you've always concerned yourself with, and I've always concerned, it's like, am I running the pace that I should be running? I know that I want to complete this race at this certain time, but am I doing my workouts at the proper pace? And I never really knew. And that was something that was, really concerning to me. That might be something that's important whenever you're looking for a coach, saying, are you going to give me specific paces? Because I want to make sure that I'm doing the pace that I want to do. And so, that's one of those things that whenever you're coach shopping, then, that's something you should ask before you get started. And that was something that I knew going into my relationship with my current coach, was that from speaking with people who have worked with him in the past, is that he gave specific paces. Now, when it comes to, let's say, your tempo runs or your long runs or your easy runs, there's going to be a pace range. So that way, if you're feeling good, you can kick it up a little bit, or if your legs are a little bit tired or a little worn down, then you can go to the lower end of that spectrum. But now, when it comes to the track workouts, those are specific paces, and you want to, you're expected to get as close to that as possible. Let's say it's raining outside or it's super hot or something like that. Then, you just do the best you can and get as close as you can. And you just throw that into your footnotes, because I don't believe that if it's 100% humidity and it's 85 or 89 degrees outside, I don't believe that's an excuse. That's a condition. And so, that's why I didn't hit my paces that I was supposed to, but I got pretty darn close. But anyway, long story short is whenever you're looking for a coach, then, if that's important to you, then that's something you should certainly ask before you hire someone.
I would like to say, now we all use Strava, and I have not checked out their training plans, so they might be just as good. But if you just absolutely cannot afford a coach, you want one, you just can't afford it, I will tell you what I did at first. There's another app called Endomondo, and you have to pay for the premium, but I don't know, at the time it was like $2 a month. But they had training plans, and they were, what's the word I'm looking for? Adaptive. You would actually set what you wanted to do, like a marathon, and it would have you go out and run a workout and then come back and then start adjusting the plan. And then you would do your workouts, according to how it had it on there. And then every few weeks, they would have you do another very specific speed workout and would adjust your plan based on that. So if you absolutely cannot afford a coach and you want something a little bit better than printed off the internet, I know Endomondo has it. I'm sure Strava's probably got something similar. I've never tried it. I don't know if either of you know anything about Strava's training plans or...
No, I don't know.
We'll have to check that out. I'll check that. I'll make a note to do that. So last thing on training, I'll start with you, Crystal. What is the one workout you dread seeing on your training plan where you're like, oh, not this one?
See how Andy feels about ultras. That's how I feel about the track. So all of those workouts he was describing, they make me cringe. Which is why I stopped running fast marathons and love ultras, because I get super chill miles and I don't get anything that has 1200s and stuff on it anymore. So right now, I love the way Corey does speed workouts, because they're somewhat structured but loose. So it's nothing like being out on the track. I can do them all on the road and just work them in. So as of right now, I'm kind of really in my happy spot. And if I never have to set foot on another track, other than, coming in to finish Western States, I'm good.
But is there a workout you hate, you dread, you're like, oh, not this one? I mean, might not be the exact same, but still the same. For me, when tomorrow morning, I have intervals and I'm like, oh, I don't like doing these. I hurt afterwards. Do you have one of those?
Well, believe it or not, I like structure.
No.
I'm
shocked too.
Yeah. So I really do like to go to this track, but some of my favorite workouts are on the track. Some of my least favorite workouts are on the track. And definitely whenever progressive runs on the track, to where we've gone through those weeks where the intervals have got longer and then the recoveries have gotten shorter. And then finally we have that day to where it is just all progressive run with no intervals. That is just a killer for me, because you're running at those paces that are way beyond your marathon, half marathon. You're actually running 5K pace or less without those rest intervals. And I hate that, because it's just you're only 50% into it and you already feel miserable. And so, but I mean, they're good for you. You got to do them, but I hate those.
I know, like I said, I do those speed workouts, and 25 years of Marlboro Reds come back to remind me. Even though I've been off them for years and years, they're still it's like, ooh, that still hurts.
Well, I've got a question for you guys.
Okay.
So we've got two different types of coaches here, to where I actually have a coach that I can meet whenever if I need to, and actually see in person. And you guys have a coach that you don't. Do you have any concerns about that, or do you feel like that is a negative to not ever be able to physically meet coach?
Go ahead, Crystal.
So I'm fine with it, because the coaches that I've worked with in the past, I've never actually worked with one that's in the same area code as me, and it has been kind of in the past. Typically, how it would work is they would email out 2 weeks worth of workouts. You'd go and do it, report back. You get another 2 weeks with and you get some feedback and stuff. And if something was really off, you could send an email or whatever. So. Again, I was somewhat hesitant going in, whereas Corey, I feel sometimes like he's right here. We work, our training schedules on a Google Doc, so we're able to communicate back and forth. If I need anything, I can message him. He's right there. On my way driving to Ruts, we were on the phone together. So he's very, very accessible. And I think too, with the history that I have and all the miles that I have, I'm pretty comfortable with that. And so I think really it comes down to personal preference, but I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, I have the same experience. I mean, one thing when I first thought about getting a coach and we know Corey through our good friends over at the Negative Splits podcast. That they know, I don't know how they know him, but they knew him somehow. So that's how I kind of got hooked up with them. But when I was talking to him, one thing I was looking for is I looked at other coaches and they would have things like you get one email a week and, 1 20-minute Skype call per month. I'm like, if he's got that stuff, I'm not interested. That's just, I don't know. I think that's bad coaching, but, whatever. He's like, no, you can get a hold of me anytime. So, not only his Facebook contacts, messenger contact and the Google Doc and plain email. I've also got his cell number. And to be honest, and I'm kind of like Crystal. Not that I've been running a long time, but I'm old enough. I kind of know when things are hurting to when I need to bring it up to him and when it's just an old age pain, and deal with it. But I don't think I've ever waited more than like an hour or two before he's responded. Unless I don't think I ever have, if I wrote something at 2 a.m, obviously, but it's always within an hour or two and he's getting right back to me. I try not to bother him because, he's a professional runner. So he's training for some big races. So I only try to bother him when it's something serious or I just think he needs bothered.
I'm bored.
Message Corey.
What you doing? What you wearing?
All right.
What you have for lunch?
So I think we have, as Andy alluded to earlier, and I don't know if we'll have them on the same. Well, we have something very special we're working on. We have some technical details to work out. So we'd hope to get them all on the same show, but we will definitely at least have our coaches on a show apiece. Probably within the next month or two. And I think it's going to be interesting because we're all going to be much farther into our training plans and they should be able to give some really good feedback to us and the audience, and hopefully some funny moments they can share with the audience about how we were doing. So those will be coming up later. So I want to move on, but I'm looking at our show outline and who put the best butter? What does that mean?
That would be me.
That would be you. Okay. What, can you expand on that?
Yeah. And I don't know if it's really specific with anything that we're talking about this evening, but I think it's a good life lesson that, and you guys, I got a message from Steven not too long ago. It's like, hey brother, are you still out there? And I just haven't been in a lot of constant communication here lately, and I've just been really busy at work, and so it's been a real stressful time for me, and that kind of relates back to what I'm doing with my training. My training's been really intense here lately, and a lot of times I get impatient, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, I just need to need to get all this work done at work, and I just need to get it done now, and then I need to get this training done so I can get faster, I can go farther, and I can do good at this race, and well, my mom, like all good moms, they can always recognize whenever their children are stressed out or something's wrong. And so anyway, she just sent me this long message about, just relax and slow down, and that the best butter is churned slow. And so I just kind of let that marinate with me a little bit, whenever work gets stressful and life gets stressful and kids going this way and that way and things are busy, just calm down, slow down, take your time, churn some slow butter. And when it comes to your training, whenever, you're getting, you've got this race coming up and it means a lot to you, and, you want to get faster, you want to go farther, and you want to work harder and push harder. And sometimes those long runs, you're running them too hard, and you need to back off and slow down because, it's important to do that slow. And your rest days really need to be rest days, and don't try to sneak that extra workout in because, there's only so much hay you can put in the barn. And so anyway, that was just something that she said to me, and it meant a lot to me this weekend, was just to churn that butter slow, because that makes the best butter.
That's good advice. And I will say our good friend Denny Curry over at the Diz Runs Radio. Now we got to talk to him about that, Andy. He needs to bring it back to podcast. But anyways, yeah, he has a monthly Q&A, and Andy had asked a question. I don't remember exactly what the question was, but it was something on my rest day, I do this. And he kind of called you out. He kind of
He
said,
really did.
he said, why are you doing this on a rest day? And I was kind of like, right on, Andy. Of course, then he disagreed with my walking philosophy, so now I don't like him anymore. I'm kidding, Danny. I love you, brother.
Yeah, we're not friends anymore.
So
You can call me out. That's fine.
yeah, I was kind of like, right on, Danny. Oh boy. But let's get into some gear updates. I guess long-term stuff. I'm going to start this off because I know I'm the only one using these because Andy has a thing about things between his toes.
Things don't go there.
Things don't go there. The correct toes that Dr. Ray McClanahan had a sample. What was that? 2 months ago? 2.5 months ago? Something like that?
Yeah.
Maybe even 3.
Longer.
Yeah, I think it might have been 3. Well, I wear them every day, all day. Have them on right now. Have been, I don't want to say exclusively, but 95% of the time wearing the correct toes with 0 drop wide toe box shoes. And even I think the last update, I said that I have been noticing a change in my foot shape. And I really can see it now. Especially, I took a picture of my foot, my left foot, because my right foot is disgustingly ugly. Had some toenail issues with a broken toe, and yeah, we don't look at the right foot. But even going back, looking at that initial photograph, and then looking at it now, and I try to take at least 2 pictures a week, because I do want to try to do one of those morph things. I'm going to be honest, I don't always get 2 a week. But anyways, definitely a change in my foot shape. I mean, a very noticeable change. And I have had, with the exception of a little pain I had the other week, but only because I landed right on a rock and was wearing the Carsons. And yeah, so that kind of hurt my foot. But other than that, I have had absolutely no foot issues whatsoever. So I'm sold on them. They are kind of expensive, but they're still going strong. They're in great shape. You do have to clean those once in a while. They do get a little funky. But I think they're $60 retail, but I think there's something to them. As an Ozark scientist, I'm giving it my stamp of approval. Andy, have you even tried yours on?
I've got them on my counter next to the bed. Sometimes I throw them on every once in a while, but I mean, I just have the stuff between the toe phobia. I can't deal with it. I'm sorry.
But yeah, I'm thinking I'll probably give it another 6 months in them, and maybe we'll ask Dr. Ray to come back on and see what he has to say about my long-term wearing them, because I don't even notice them now. I said I have them on now, and I actually had to wiggle my toes to check. Oh yeah, I do have them on. So definitely something to try if you're having foot issues. All right, let's. Would you guys call this maybe one of our most favorite pieces of gear? I know Crystal's new to it. She used it at Ruts not for the first time, but the first race. Our Orange Mud Vest Pack 2s. Now we've had these we're getting close to a year now, Andy. We're probably about 9 months.
Mine looks great, works great, and yeah, love it.
Crystal, you still loving yours?
I do. I love it. I was really hesitant at first because prior to getting it, I've always had kind of the hydration packs, and I was using an Ultimate Direction. And what I liked about Ultimate Direction is that they have women-specific packs. And a lot of times when you get a woman's pack or women's gear, all they do is make it pink and make it smaller. And so a lot of times it doesn't fit right.
Right.
So with the Orange Mud pack, they didn't have a woman specific. They did have pink, which was a bonus, but it's still the same size and same as the men's. It's completely unisex. So I'm like, I was kind of hesitant on that, but went ahead and pulled the trigger, and I mean, I love it. I think the first time I took it out, I took it out on like an 18-mile run to get a real good feel for it. And I was worried because, again, being a woman, and I'm short. I'm like 5'1" if I round up. And so I have like the little T-Rex arms. And so I was worried about getting bottles in and out. Not an issue. It's one side still a little bit awkward, but that's just practice. But the big thing that I love about it, besides the bottles and some of the other features and stuff, but is that all of the pockets are all up front. And when I'm wearing it, I can reach absolutely everything that is in my pack. Whereas with the hydration vests, all of them, I had room up front for a few things, but of course I always had to stuff things in the back. And to get anything out of the back, I had to stop and take the pack all the way off. And so even on Run Under the Stars, 47 miles, never took it off the entire time.
No,
it was awesome.
Let me ask you, since you represent all the women in the world,
all of them,
because I've had this asked by a couple of different women, and I'm really not able to comment on them. How can I be diplomatic? Are there any? How should I put this? Are there any forms of women that this pack may not fit too well?
Well, and it's probably not what you're thinking.
Okay.
And so if you look at their site, it's actually, if you are very small chested and very small. Mm-hmm. So I'm not exactly huge chested, but I'm not like teeny tiny, built like a little boy. And so they say for some of those women, you can't cinch it down enough. And it's not so, and because the way the front strap works, that if you're actually have a larger chest, because that's not really what holds it down, you can leave that really loose. And I've actually seen videos and stuff of other women who sometimes don't even do it up and it still stays just fine. So, so if you're teeny, tiny, it probably won't work.
Okay. All right. Thank you for being diplomatic. Now, a question I've seen pop up on a couple different Facebook groups, and I think even ours one time, and we can all say what we do, and maybe you haven't gotten to this point yet, Crystal. How do you clean yours? Andy?
You're supposed to clean them?
Are you talking about the bottles or the vest?
No, the vest itself. You are supposed to clean those,
Okay, now the bottles, I just put them in the dishwasher.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wash. Actually, what I do is I'll wash them out, and then every couple months I'll buy some like denture cleaner, because that's what I use for my bladder and my big pack, and I'll just drop a couple denture tablets in them and let them sit for a half hour or so. But for the pack itself, I actually just fill the sink with some detergent, a little bit of laundry soap, and gently scrub it, rinse it out, and hang it up on a line to dry. Because I saw several people are asking how you got the sweat and nastiness off.
Well, see, I don't sweat and I'm not nasty, and mine's pink, so I'm good.
You're good. Okay.
No, I'm just mine. I'm fine with mine smelling like a dumpster, so it's okay.
I don't mind mine being dirty, but it does need to be washed every now and then. So if anyone's interested, that's how I clean mine. I don't take like a scrub brush to it, but I've got like a soft brush, I guess, and yeah, I'll just gently scrub it down, rinse it out, and I'll hang it out on a line. Every few months you got runner's laundry day where everything's hanging out. But okay, we'll move on. Now we all have a pair of these. I don't know how much Crystal's been wearing hers, but the Carson footwear. How's you still using yours, Andy?
Yeah, actually, since I have the red, white, and blue ones, I actually wore them to the track yesterday, where we had a track meet Tuesday in Galena, Kansas. And so since it was 4th of July, I wore my patriotic red, white, and blue Carson. And, I still love them. I mean, they're not something that I use all the time, but they're just in my toolbox. And whenever the need arises for that type of shoe, then I pull them out.
How many miles you got on yours now?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I mean, probably 500.
Okay, you're close. I think I'm just about to break 600 on mine, and still very little wear.
Very little wear.
And you know what? To be honest, most of those miles are road miles, which it's really kind of surprised me. I think if you just used them on trail or dirt roads, I don't think you could ever wear the things out. I am, like I said, just now starting to notice a little bit of wear on a couple of the lugs. So they've probably got at least another 500 miles, at least.
Yeah, they're so tough.
Yeah, and just so comfortable. Now, I will say, kind of like you did on our Google Hangout Ruts recap, they do take a long time to transition into. I did road marathon in those at the Little Rock. That was not smart. And I think I went 16 miles at Ruts in them. And I could have gone farther, but I was like, I'm going to change now. So they don't think you're going to buy these and jump right into them and be running ultras and stuff, because they will take some time to get used to. Now, Crystal, you are new to the Carson family, so have you used them yet for running at all, or are they just house slippers?
So for the most part, I tried running shortly, but I also realized it's going to be a real big transition period for me, because I wear kind of a traditional stability shoe, and I have about 4 different pairs that I alternate through. But that's a huge change for me. And so I realized kind of at this point where I'm in, a pretty heavy training cycle, it's not something I kind of want to do right now. So I think once coming out of Tunnel Hill, then I'll try and experiment a little bit more. But what I've been wearing them for is I love wearing them actually as my recovery footwear. So after ruts, that's what I threw on, or after a really long run, I love wearing them for the rest of the day or walking around in them for the weekend and stuff. So that's, and if I'm on a road trip and I'm driving for a long time, I love wearing them for that.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably smart. Wait till after your big race and then ease into them. And when we have Dr. Ray McClanahan back on, you might want to keep it to yourself that you're wearing stability shoes. But I love them, and they make me happy, and they did really well. I mean, I think I was the only person in a pair of Sauconys that run under the stars, and you know what? My feet felt great, and everything felt good at the end of that. So
if it works, it works.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, but it's about the long term, and that's where my thinking comes from. Sticking with using the correct toes and the zero drop wide toe boxes. Yeah, I'll admit, if I, on the rare occasion, I throw my Hokas back on for a short run, they are a lot more comfortable than the Ultras or the Carsons. I mean, I'll tell you right now, my feet they are a lot more comfortable. But my thinking is, I want to be running when I'm 70. So I need to do things to take care of my feet and the rest of my body now so I can do that when I'm 70. Now, hopefully the research doesn't change next year and, have to have that.
Well, you see, some of it is starting to change already. So,
what are we supposed to do now? What'd you tell us?
I can't remember where I heard and stuff, but they are saying some of that's not necessarily the best for everybody. So,
wait, was it on the internet?
I don't know. I think you find what works for you. It's what I've been using for almost 17 years. And
did you read this on the internet? If you read it on the internet, it's got to be true then. So.
Well, of course.
Yes, that's where I was going. All right, well, that'll be. We'll have to dig into that deeper later. Now, Mr. Andy, I don't know, a month or so ago, did a review video, and I don't think we've really talked about it on the show too much. Andy picked himself up one of those Ultra Crawl belts. You want to kind of explain what that is, and if you're still using and liking it, Andy?
Yeah, that's correct. I have got a lot of miles, and I wear this every single run. Love it. It just disappears on my body, and I don't even know it's there, and I can just hold a ton of stuff. And so I'll just give you real quick. The reason why I bought it was I needed something to bridge the gap between that 8-mile and half marathon distance, because I can usually go about 8 miles if it's not super hot outside without hydration. But if I was going to go anywhere between that and a half marathon, I didn't need to carry a pack with me, but I just needed something. And you can just carry that. You can have that 8-ounce flask that's just on your waistline back behind you, and just tucks right into the belt. And you've got a room for a couple of gels, your phone, earbuds, some keys, and you just don't even know it's there. It's not bulky at all. It just holds right up against your body. And so anyway, if you want to know some more information, I recommend that you go to the YouTube channel, or you can go to the website for Heartland Running, and that video's on there where I get real deep and specific into the product. Like I said, I've got a couple months in it and just absolutely love it. And also, I did notice that at Western States this year, Jim Walmsley was wearing one of them. And so if it's good enough for him, hey, it's good enough for you.
Now, is that Nathan that makes that?
Yes, it is.
Wait, I want to ask one more question before Tim, because now that you've had it for a while longer, have you had any problems with the bottle leaking?
No, I have not. No, my bottle was perfectly fine. I know there was a listener that sent a video in with which he had a little leaking issue with it. I know that Nathan's replaced that bottle for him, but no, mine hasn't leaked at all. Now it does have the little nozzle at the end that you bite and then you compress to be able to get the water out of it. And so if you put it in the pack a little bit funky and you pinch that in, it's going to leak out of there a little bit, but that's not a problem with the actual physical product itself. It's just you just stuck it in there wrong. So but I haven't had any problems with my bottle.
Now lastly, I have a new toy. I've only used it on one run, and this again is Crystal being a very bad influence on me. So we have this Hawk 50 miler coming up, and I've said many times, running technical trails in the dark scares me because I can't see. I mean, I've tried headlamps and they don't cut it. So she does this Facebook post where she's talking about this cool waist light, and it's on super mega clearance special. It's the Ultra Aspire, I think. Lumen 600 is the official name. So being the disciplined middle-aged man that I am, I went, ooh, shiny, and bought one. It came in the other week. It was actually adjusted fine. I didn't have to make any adjustments to it. It fit perfect out of the box. I did have to charge the battery. And I will say that well, I'll get into that in just a second. So anyway, so I got the battery charged, and usually I don't run with any light in the morning. I can see fine just running the paved roads or the dirt roads. But I'm like, I want to try it out. And I got to say, I think I might be able to do technical trails in the dark, at least at a walk. Because the problem with the headlamps is they're usually like a spotlight. So it'll go out way in front of you. Where this gives you 600 lumens when you're on high. It's got a high, medium, low, and a strobe feature, but it actually gives you kind of a floodlight under your foot, and it doesn't cast any goofy shadows or anything like that. You can actually see where you're going. So I think you still might want a headlamp when running technical trails at night, just so if you want to turn your head and you hear a noise or something, so you can still see it. This won't work for that, but you can adjust the light up and down. It has a small pocket on the front that'll probably fit keys or a gel maybe or something. And the back has a larger pocket. Now I have an LG G5 phone. It's not fitting. I might be able to squeeze it in, but you wouldn't get it out. And at that point, it's pointless. So I think I found the solution. The only two little quirks I have with it, the charging cable that comes with it, you got to get that thing in just right for it to go in. It was kind of a pain. I could see where it might be an issue if you're trying to charge it in the middle of the night or something. And then putting the battery in, the cap has like a, I don't know what you call it, a little, what's the word I'm looking for? A little spike you have to like line up.
Yeah.
But it rotates. So it's not like you can just put it in the slot and then screw it on. You kind of have to time it just right. And I'm doing a lot of talking with my hands here, as everyone can see.
Which is always good in the podcast. But I will say that is a real pain in the butt when you get it out of the box. And if you don't line up that little pin almost.
Yeah, pin. That's
exactly. Yeah. So instead of having kind of like see, now I'm talking with my hands, which is really good. But instead of having like the spring that would normally be on it, that would make the contact, it's just kind of like little pin that moves around. And if you don't do it just right, it won't work. And so it's a little frustrating, but the good news is once you get it in there, it just charges in there. So you don't have to take it out again, other than, if you're going to replace it with a backup battery or something like that.
And I have to say, the light itself is bulletproof. It's machined aluminum. I mean, it's not some cheap toy thing. It's bulletproof. But I can see where that, if you're trying to replace a battery in the middle of the night, it could get real frustrating real fast. They claim you can get like 8 hours on high with a charge, though. So I don't know. I haven't turned mine on and left it on to see. So maybe I'll have to do that. But
if someone was interested in learning more about this product, where can they go?
Well, hopefully pretty soon they go to Heartland Running Podcast or heartlandrunning.com and we'll have a review video up.
All right, well, good.
We're
looking into the future.
There is a review on YouTube. I don't know who did it. If I can find it again, I'll put it on the show notes. But yeah, I think I found the solution. Just that one little thing with the battery, but it was comfortable on. It does have some storage. We'll definitely be using it at the Hawk because I think we're gonna have about an hour and a half running in the dark. So maybe not quite that long. At least an hour running in the dark. So we'll have it on there with the headlamp. I think that's about all I have. I am doing, and I think Crystal is joining me, and of course Andy can join too if he wants. Doing a lube comparison, checking out some different anti-chafing products and see how they work. See if they universally work for us or universally don't. Is there a difference, men versus women, anything like that? So we still have to probably finalize what the criteria we're measuring is. But,
when I saw the best butter listed on here, I was wondering if that had to do with
I thought you put it on there. I'm like, okay.
No, I plan on using actual butter.
Butter, hey. He smells so good after a hot run. Is someone going to baste you, Andy?
Can you imagine someone pulling a stick of butter out of their pack, just to rub it all over their body?
Oh, with that said, we should probably wrap this show up.
Make it stop.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, everybody. As always, be sure to join the Facebook group. As we mentioned before, we are going to cap that once we get to 300 members. And as Andy so delicately put an episode or two ago, after it's capped, if you want to get in, someone will have to die. That's when we knew Andy was training a little too hard. And of course, you can follow us on Instagram at Heartland Running Podcast. That's probably where I spend most of my time hanging out now, is on Instagram. You can always call our voicemail at area code 417-319-1060. Leave us a message. Tell if you like the show, don't like the show, gear review, trail review, anything that's on your mind. We'll listen to it. Maybe you'll hear it on the air. Well, until next time, we want to thank you for sticking us in your ears. I'm Steven.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Crystal.
And we'll talk to you soon.